Beep, 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 beep. Welcome to the court of the Edijester. Good morning, good morning. How are we all today? Fantastic evening last night. Just fantastic evening will do. Yesterday, when I got to speak to the women of the Women's Rights Network, who are a wonderful group of women doing things. There's the doing. I know. So I spent an hour in their company, which was just fantastic. We had a bit of a laugh as well, which is always good and great for the soul. Before we get started this morning on what we're going to talk about today, which is the corruption of data in the public sector due to a new report from Alice Sullivan, and also the work of the Women's Rights Network as well in exposing this very dangerous and very worrying situation. But before we do please come and become a warrior teacher. We're starting in April. I'm hoping I'm going to get some of the WRN and going to come and join as well, so we increase the number of people from that wonderful organisation who are joining us. So we shall see as we go along. But let's get started today, or buy me a coffee, the usual, right? So here we go. This is the Telegraph is reporting this on the 21st of March, so yesterday. From the NHS to the police, how the obsession with gender captured the public sector. Data collected by public bodies has been corrupted as a result of conflating gender with sex, a report says, posing risks to individuals. From a GP agreeing to change the documented identity of a baby because its mother was raising it in the gender of her choice, with male sex offenders being recorded by the police as women. Data and official statistics have been corrupted by extreme gender ideology, a report found this week. A mother who is raising her child in a different gender. I mean, honest to God, they're mad. I had a conversation with the ONS about this about 5 years ago. Didn't listen, did they? Silly beggars. The government commissioned investigation by Alice Sullivan, there we are, a professor of sociology and research specialist at University College London, revealed that public bodies, including the NHS, the police and even the military, have been collecting information on gender identity rather than biological sex since 2015. For 10 years they've been doing this nonsense. As a consequence, robust and accurate data has been lost. Now, this is an extremely serious situation, and one that I don't think most people, your average chap, an average woman, is going to understand. It's like when they did the census, the ONS did the census, that was a screw up as well. Absolute screw up. And what that means is it's very hard to plan for the country. So you imagine you're planning for the country. There's about 70 million of us. That's a lot of people, isn't it? So we're planning. What do we need in terms of medical provision? What do we need in terms of XYZ? What do we need in... You start planning for the country and you're dealing with something on that size and you get mistakes in the data and they soon become gaping chasms. I mean, I've spoken about this before, but there was a reason I'm pointing out this particular article is because it's so clear and so well written and looks at all different aspects of where the data problem may occur, not just the NHS, off the back of Alice Sullivan's brilliant report. This shift, it says, the shift has led to real harm to individuals and research and undermined the integrity of policymaking, says Maya Forsata, hello Maya, a human rights organisation from Sex Matters. Of course, Sex Matters, stalwart fighters in this game for a very long time now. Conflating sex and gender identity is not a harmless act of kindness, but a damaging dereliction of duty. I couldn't agree further. It's about time the idea of gender identity was eradicated from our society altogether. I said that last night to the women of the WRN. I said, we've got to eradicate it completely. It can't remain. And they asked, what do you mean by that? And I said, well, we can't keep doing the same mistakes again. And we've got the ability now to look back and not do it. And all the horrors of the 20th century were based on equity. And all of this is based on equity. It's EDID. It's all gone mad. It's not just gender, folks. They're screwing everything up. And I think people are now beginning to realise that it's much bigger than just gender. Maybe I'm wrong. You tell me. Right, but I think it's much bigger than gender. I think gender's just one head of the hydra. I would be interested to hear what you think, though. Here are the ways, says the article from the Telegraph, continuing, in which the obsession with gender has taken over the public sector. So the NHS is the first subject here. An NHS working group warned in 2009 of the dangers of conflating sex and gender, and now, in the health service, data on biological sex is entirely missing from some patient data. Entirely missing. Although a baby's sex is recorded at birth and the baby is given an NHS number, everybody's got one of those, individuals or an individual's parents can change this marker on request and be given a new NHS number. Why? There is no requirement for any diagnosis of gender dysphoria, treatment or surgery before this change takes place. I also mentioned in the WRM meeting last night that I thought Wes Streeting was being hopeless on this, and he certainly isn't going to get this right. I believe it was yesterday or the day before when he said it's possible to respect it, to get this right and recognise the importance of sex and still respect trans and non-binary people. No, it's not. It absolutely isn't. It's not, okay? This type of fantasy thinking does not belong in the NHS. It simply doesn't. Even gender dysphoria is fantasy. It's not a real thing. It was made up by a group of men who just simply wanted to be able to practice their fetish in public and invade women's spaces. So why Wes Streeting's even given it the time of day, I don't know. Be honest. Tell us what's happening. He won't. He will. I'm sorry, he just won't. Consent forms. Sorry, I do apologise. There is no requirement for any diagnosis of gender dysphoria, treatment or surgery before this change takes place. Consent forms for treatment or vaccinations can ask about also ask about gender identity, with potentially disastrous results or effects. It can create all kinds of problems. One London-based GP says, for instance, treating female patients who identify as male, we have to change the sex or gender marker back to female before the computer system will allow us to request a smear. Then we have to remember to change it back again. Separately, patients have to remember to ask for the appropriate sex-based screening because they won't be reminded if the sex marker is wrong. This is absolutely a disaster of epic proportions, and it's something that we're going to need to address. We need to get all of this rubbish out of the NHS. Not going to happen while the union's old sway, though, is it? Bloody unions. Another doctor adds, a male patient came to see me with abdominal pain. The computer system stated his sex was male, but I suspected he was possibly female. I suspected it was a lying woman, which it was. So I had to take a guess and dig about in the records to see if there was anything to suggest that. But there was nothing. In the end, it wasn't until she sheepishly admitted that she was actually female and worried that it might be an ovarian torsion that we could make a proper diagnosis. That sounds like a French dessert. Ovarian torsion. Stop it, Barry. It was all so confusing, says this doctor. Can we see the obvious dangers of this? Why can't we recognise what's going on here? It's just madness. In the Sullivan Review, one paediatrician and safeguarding expert who was consulted for the report gave a shocking example of a mother who changed the gender identity of her child when it was still a baby. The child had been brought up in the preferred gender of the mother, which was Munchausen of the mother, which was different to their birth assigned gender. Birth isn't assigned. It's sex observed. She had gone to the GP and requested a change of gender NHS number when the baby was a few weeks old, and the GP had complied. Children's social care did not perceive this as a child protection issue, for the love of God. When are we going to get our head around this? If there's a teacher in a school and they are teaching your kids about LGBTQ+ and all the nonsense that comes with that group, which has got nothing to do with the protected characteristic of sexuality and everything to do with a hard left and neoliberal, hedonism mad group of nutters, that's a safeguarding red flag the size of Montana. And I don't know why we don't get it. It's absolutely extraordinary. So I'm going to say to you, go and read the rest of this article, because I've literally just skimmed the surface. It covers the police. It covers everything. It's a brilliant article, and my thanks to the Telegraph for that. And once again, my thanks to the WRN for a fantastic meeting last night. So come and be a warrior teacher. Other than that, bye-bye. I'm done with you. No, that's it. No more to see here. Goodbye, everybody.